In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out into the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. They were students and graduates, trained, prepared, and familiar with the wilderness. None of them came back alive. When rescuers finally found their camp weeks later, what they discovered made no sense. The tent had been cut open from the inside. The hikers had fled into -30-degree temperatures, wearing almost nothing. Some had severe internal injuries, broken ribs, a fractured skull with no external wounds to explain them. One was missing her tongue. The Soviet authorities closed the investigation and listed the cause of death as an unknown compelling force. That file stayed classified for decades. And even now, 60 years later, nobody agrees on what happened that night on Dyatlov Pass. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. The others, 7 men and 2 women, were experienced hikers, some of them veterans of difficult mountain expeditions. Their goal was to reach Otoden, a mountain in the northern Urals. It was a Category 3 hike, the most difficult rating in Soviet classifications, but this group had done it before. They were ready. They set off on January 23, 1959. Early diaries and photographs from the trip show a cheerful group, laughing, joking, documenting their journey. Everything was normal. On February 1st, they made camp on the slope of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kholat Syakhl. In the Mansi language, that name means dead mountain. When the group failed to return as scheduled, a search party was sent out. On February 26th, they found the tent. It was half collapsed and buried under snow. But what struck the rescuers immediately was the opening. The tent had been sliced open from the inside. Someone had cut their way out in a hurry. Footprints led away from the tent, down the slope toward the tree line, about a mile away. The prints showed people walking in socks, or barefoot, or in a single boot, in temperatures that would kill an unprotected person within minutes. At the tree line, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. They were under a large cedar tree, shoeless, wearing only underwear. The branches of the tree were broken up to 5 meters high. Someone had tried to climb it. Between the tree line and the tent, 3 more bodies were found, including Igor Dyatlov himself. They appeared to have been crawling back toward the tent when they died. The remaining 4 were found months later, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine nearby. And these were the ones that truly disturbed the investigators. 3 of the 4 had severe chest fractures, the kind of force normally associated with a car crash. 1 had a fractured skull, and Lyudmila Dubinina, she was missing her tongue, her eyes, and parts of her facial tissue. No external wounds, no explanation for the internal damage, and no predator tracks anywhere near the camp. In the decades since, investigators, journalists, and researchers have put forward dozens of theories. None of them fully explain every detail. The most widely accepted explanation today is an avalanche, or more specifically, a slab avalanche. A sudden shift in the snowpack could have struck the tent, causing the hikers to cut their way out in a panic and flee. The force of snow could explain some of the internal injuries, but critics point out that the slope wasn't steep enough for a typical avalanche. The tent itself was still largely intact, and the footprints leading away showed no signs of panic. They were calm, evenly spaced steps. Another theory involves infrasound, low-frequency sound waves produced by wind moving over the mountain. At certain frequencies, infrasound can cause feelings of intense dread, disorientation, and even hallucinations. Some researchers believe a sudden infrasound event could have caused the group to flee in irrational terror. Then there are the more troubling theories. The Soviet military was testing parachute mines in the area at the time, bombs designed to create massive internal pressure, damage without leaving external marks. Some researchers believe the group stumbled into a test zone. It would explain the internal injuries. It might explain why the file was classified. And then the details that no theory fully accounts for. The missing tongue, the orange tint found on some of the hikers' skin, the traces of radiation detected on some of their clothing, the statement from rescuers who reported seeing strange glowing orbs in the sky above the mountain that same night. There are things here that don't fit any single explanation, and that is what makes Dyatlov Pass different from most mysteries. It isn't one strange thing, it's 10 strange things, all happening at once. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation. After more than a year of review, they officially concluded that an avalanche was responsible. Most researchers disagreed. The families of the hikers disagreed. And if you look at the photographs taken from the scene, the expressions on the faces of those first rescuers, they disagreed too. 9 people cut their way out of a tent in the middle of the night, walked barefoot into lethal cold, and died in ways that forensic science still struggles to explain. Whatever they were running from, it was something they feared more than freezing to death. We may never know what that was, but I think somewhere in the back of your mind, you already have a theory. Leave it in the comments. I'll read everyone.